What's up everybody? Welcome back to another movie review. My name's Big Cam and today we are talking about 2014's How to Train Your Dragon 2 from director Dean Deblois. Dean. Dean has done some other things like the Lilo and Stitch movies. He's done all three of the animated How to Train Your Dragon and the now new live action How to Train Your Dragon. But these movies, honestly, like, you know, with him doing Lilo and Stitch, it feels like he was just, you know, trying to figure out his footing, figure out what he wants to do with life, make some money, make a check. You know, maybe he's doing Lilo and Stitch as a job. And then these How to Train Your Dragon feels like the passion project, right? Like he liked Vikings, he liked dragons, he liked, you know, storytelling, so he decided to tell this coming of age storytelling, but also like have real heartful moments in this. Like, you know, the first movie has great moments between father and son and, like, you know, finding your family and, you know, rekindling that family bond and, like, you know, really seeing your son even if he's different from you, you know, that type of thing. And then the second movie is like rekindling the family connection and bringing the mom story into the thing and explaining where she's been. And then the heartbreak of what happens and tragedy can strike at any moment, and it does his character. I was genuinely upset when things happen. I won't spoil it, but things happen in the second movie that made me genuinely upset. And like, oh man, I kind of want to spoil it because it is like a decade old. I do want to spoil it. Spoilers for this movie, 10 years old, 11 years old. If you haven't seen it, it's on you, and I'm warning you fairly. So, spoilers. In this second movie, Stoick, Gerard Butler, Hiccup's father, dies by way of the alpha dragon making Toothless shoot him with a, you know, fire blast. And we know how Toothless's fire blasts are. They are quite prominent. You know, like, and he like dies, and it's so sad. And then he like gets mad at Toothless because he was being controlled by this other dragon, and he's like, he can't, you know, help it. Like, good dragons can't help what they do when being controlled by bad people. And it's like, yeah, man, that's true, but damn, did you have to kill Stoick? Stoick is such a good character. Like, oh no, it made me so sad. But then it makes, you know, Hiccup have to step up as the new chief of Berk and, you know, be there for his people and his mom and the other dragons. And then Hiccup and Toothless stands up for Hiccup. Oh god, that shit made me feel so warm on the inside. I was smiling ear to ear, but I was also crying. I was like, oh my god, Toothless, come back to me, baby. And then he finally comes back and he gets that mean Drago off of him. Oh god, I hated Drago. Not like the Demon Hunson, just the character. I was like, oh, such a bad man. And like, you know, what he was doing was so bad. And like, he made, you know, the dragon, like, he took all their dragons and like took everything, and, you know, they ended up having to fly on the babies because babies don't listen to anybody, you know. So I thought that was a funny thing to, like, oh, the babies come back to save the day, but like the poor alpha that was the like ice dragon alpha that was like with VALKA, the mom. I was like, damn, they just fucking did that one dirty? And then just gonna like take off with Toothless and everybody. I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And then finally, you know, Toothless with his sick little upgrade, because she kind of like gives him like a cardiac or a chiropractic adjustment and, like, you know, cracks his back, and then all of a sudden like some extra fins pop out of his back all the way down to his tail, and he like, so now he could take harder turns, and he's looking at Hiccup like, and they're like flapping, and he's like, I gotta go test these bad boys out. But then we realize in like the final act of this movie that not only is the upgrade of the, you know, little tail things as he ages the dragon himself, he also has like this, you know, concussion blast that he, like, you know, you could see the blue charge where it used to just be like in his mouth. You could see it going all the way down like his spine, kind of almost like Godzilla. But Night Fury, what a good design for a dragon, because he's equal parts goofy, you know, funny as hell. Like, there's a part in the first movie where he's drawing Toothless's face on the ground, and then Toothless goes, oh, I can draw, and he like goes to go pick up a stick and draw on the stand himself, but like he's like watching him draw, and then all of a sudden he stands up and just kind of like derpily walks away, and I go, they could have like made that shot better, but I think they just liked how derpy he looked, just kind of and then he comes back with a stick and he's drawing. Like, oh god, Toothless is so funny. Hiccup and Toothless together are like a relationship between characters that are, it's so like perfect, and like you buy into it so much that like if anything happens to the two of them, you are devastated. In like the first movie he loses his foot, second movie he loses his friend, and it's like, dude, you're my best friend, don't come back to me, buddy. And then he does, and I was like, oh god. And like I'm sitting there, and I had just gotten my dog back yesterday too from my mother, and like if you guys don't know, my dog goes back and forth between my mom's house and my house, and so I finally get my baby boy back, and he's sitting there next to me like cuddling in my lap as we're watching this movie. I was like, yeah dude, all is right in the world. But overall, I gave this movie 4 out of 5 stars. Honestly, it could be a 5 out of 5, you know. It's better than the first one, but it's also just as good as the first one, and like I just love this series. So compared to the other one is also a 4 out of 5 star, and honestly when it comes down to ranking these movies, I might have to do like a full 10 score and like really sit down and decide which one of these do I like better. But so far, the first one was a 4 out of 5 stars, the second one was a 4 out of 5 stars, and honestly the second one was so much sadder that I was like, I don't know, I think I like the first one better. But like the second one brings in these moments that are so, oh, like Stoick finally sees his long lost wife after 20 years of her being gone, and she's like, I know you're angry, Stoick, and he just like takes off his hat and walks up to her and goes, you're just as beautiful as the day I lost ya. You know, and he doesn't give a fuck that she's been gone. He thought she was dead, you know, so now that she's alive, and he knows that she's alive, you know, instead of fighting about like, why haven't you come back, why didn't you return to us, why didn't you try and find us, it's just, I'm so happy you're alive. And then like a moment later, Drago shows up and attacks them, and instead of like being the big man and he's friggin', oh, I got this, get behind me, he's like, honey, we're with you, what do you want to do? And she goes, protect the dragons. He goes, oi, you got it. You know, and I was like, Jesus, I was like, even like Viking men aren't shit without their Viking women. Like, we need those Viking ladies. Oh god. Ah, Stoick the Vast. I can't wait to see the live action version of this now, just to see Gerard Butler in this giant Stoick the Vast costume. And like obviously it's still his voice, but just to see it live action is gonna be great. But if this is how the second movie goes, I'm gonna be devastated when How to Train Your Dragon live action 2 comes out. Like, ah damn. Oh god. But now I'm gonna have to go on and watch the third movie and see how this trilogy ends and see what the hidden world has to offer. But I loved the additions to the cast in this movie, with Demon Hansu as Drago, the dark-voiced villain of the character, you know, villain of the movie, and then Kit Harington's in here as Erit, son of Erit, or something like that, which I just find funny as hell, that like Kit Harington, freaking Jon Snow, is in here as a Viking dragon, and it was he probably saw the first movie and was like, my kids love this franchise, I gotta get in there, so he got in the second movie, and shout out them. But yeah, shout out to the cast, the crew, the director, Dean, anybody that worked on the How to Train Your Dragon movies. You guys absolutely crushed it. Thank you guys so much for coming on by. If you made it this far in the video and you'd like to support my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. Look me up, Big Cam, 2 G's and a Big, pretty much anywhere. Look for this face and you'll find me. Letterboxd if you want to check out my other movie reviews. But if you'd like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is liking this video, commenting down below in the comment section, subscribing if you haven't already. About 98% of you are not subscribed, so please subscribe, help the channel, and make sure you hit that bell if you don't want to miss future videos and you get the notifications when they come out. But once again, my name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for coming on by, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace!